9,000 more guns added to the FRT, and Nova Scotia shooter withdraws $475,000 from Brinks. Has ties to RCMP. What the But I don't care, 'cause I know it's so rare. Hello everyone, let's have a quick talk about the FRT, which stands for Firearms Reference Table for those of you who might not know. Currently, not only have the original 1,500 firearms been banned, but they've added 9,000 more behind closed doors. Well, what does that mean for us? It means that there's 9,000 more firearms that are now illegal or considered prohibited. The problem with the whole FRT thing going on right now is the fact that they're not making it public knowledge, which means they have something that they can enforce, despite, of course, online it says it's not a legal document. It's something that is enforceable. We have 9,000 firearms that are out in circulation across Canada that could be owned by up to 2.5 million people, and we don't know if they're legal or not. That is a huge issue. You might think, oh, well, they're going to tell us before they do anything, except I have personally heard of a story of people in Chilliwack being stopped by RCMP up a forestry road who were checking for newly banned firearms. So what is really going on here? We're having firearms banned behind closed doors, we're not being warned about it, and it's very, very likely or possible that some of us are now going to be criminally charged because of it. How does that make any sense? Also, to add to that, the main reason for this ban was the Nova Scotia shooting. Maclean's did an article recently that interviews two different RCMP officers. The title is, The Nova Scotia Shooter has, the Nova Scotia shooter case has hallmarks of an undercover operation. It goes on to say, a Mountie familiar with the techniques used by the force in undercover operations, but not with the details of the investigation into the shooting, says Wortman could not have collected his own money from Brinks as a private citizen. Quote, there's no way for a civilian to just make an arrangement like that, he says in an interview. He added that Wortman's transaction is consistent with the Mountie's experience in how the RCMP pays its assets. I've worked with a number of CI cases over the years, and that's how things go. All payments are made in cash. To me, that transaction alone proves he has a secret relationship with the force. That's really unsettling to hear. Of course, well, that's just one RCMP officer, you'd think. Well, let's scroll down a little bit. A second Mountie, who does not know the first one, but who has been involved in CI operations also, believes that Wortman's ability to withdraw a large sum of money from Brinks is an indication that Wortman had a link with the police. Quote, that's tradecraft, the Mountie said, explaining that by going through CIBC Intria, the RCMP could avoid typical banking scrutiny, as there are no holds placed on the money. Quote, that's what we do when we need flash money for a buy. We don't keep stashes of money around the office. When we suddenly need a large sum of money to make a buy or something, that's the route we take. I think, in quotations, with the Brinks transaction, you've proved with that single fact that he had a relationship with the police. He was either a CI or an agent. We need answers on what's going on here. I won't get into a whole lot of conspiracy theory with it or voice my own opinion on it, but right now we have compelling evidence that the shooter had some sort of connection with the RCMP and withdrew $475,000 between 1 and 2 days, I can't remember exactly what it was, before he went on his rampage. Where did this money come from? Why was he paid it? And what's going on? It really doesn't add up, especially since they're not telling us what firearms were used. They refused to tell us originally that the firearms were smuggled, and we have multiple reports now that Wortman was reported to the RCMP for having illegal weapons, being violent, and everything else that goes along with it. So how on earth was either this completely missed by the RCMP despite them being warned, or how in the hell was he involved with them? We need to know. And why is our government thinking that it's okay to add 9,000 more firearms behind closed doors? Whether you support firearms or not, or you're completely against them, that's totally fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. We need to ask why our government thinks it's okay to make people criminals without informing them. And on top of that, the CCFR's legal battle that they're currently doing is looking at the question, do Canadians have any right to property? Or can they just sign an order in council and take whatever they like? Is everything that we own technically just rented from the government until they decide they want it back? It's a really, really important question, and it's really interesting to ask that and see where this is going to go. What do you guys think? That's a lot of interesting information to unpack, and two separate RCMP officers are saying the exact same thing about it. Was he an agent? Was he involved with the RCMP? I don't know, but these are the questions that we have to ask, and we have to press our government for answers on that. This is something that we can't just let disappear. Absolutely cannot. Anyways, tell me what you thought in the comments down below. Like it if you liked it. Share, subscribe. Thanks, guys.